We're doing editor control. It's Tuesday. This is video number 152. In the last video, we got the editor zoom working, so I'm excited about that. And now we're trying to do tile setting by clicking, right? So if we look at our title screen, editor control, part 80 of PAINT5D Sprint. And we have this then upload CPU pixels. We actually have that going already, but let's not worry too much about that. Yeah, so let's, right, we got the sync to GPU thing here going. And, in our PAINT5D system, let's go look at our main function file. Open main, open this function file, and graphics update tick, right? So graphics update tick is, we're not going to call it because it's going to be these things, and we have a loop tick here. Okay, so in PAINT5D, let's go look at that loop tick. Okay. So, loop tick callbacks are evil. Here's our loop tick function. Only update if Windows will decide update every frame. Update PAINT5D texture if dirty. Sync CPU sync GPU bitmap with GPU texture, right? So, but only if it's only if that flag is dirty, right? So this is the loop tick. So we're gonna say, you know, if greater than or equal to 0, greater than or equal to 1, my bad. And if so, we're going to set this to 0. And we're going to do our texture push. And we're going to do PAINT5D or something like that. Let's go look up pix push and see what we got in there. So pix push, got pix load, and we got pix push. Push sampler, upload texture. Yeah, pix push upload texture. Yeah, pix push texture 2D tau depot, texture 2D PAINT5D. Yeah, so we should use this. Okay. So now that we have this, and now that this flag is going to be set when we toggle tile, we should see something going on here. So let's give that a run, right? So when we click, and this isn't the most efficient way to do things, but we don't want to be editing these textures in real time. when the engine is running, I don't think. We might change our mind on that. But, okay, let's go all the way to here, and let's try to click. Not seeing anything. Let's go, what was it, R? No, V zooms in. Now the next question is, are we getting any clicks? I'm going to guess that maybe we're not getting any clicks. And therefore, if we're not getting any clicks, then we're never going to have this called, right? Now, I don't know if that's the case, but we might want to confirm that we're actually clicking, right? Because if we're not clicking, then none of this is going to happen, right? So, if we look at mouse something or other, don't match the case, don't match the whole world. Mowin, it was called Mowin, right? Mowin for mouse input. The question is mouse clicking? And let's just log here, right? Let's make a log. Got a log here. And then for here, we're going to define log as AAC 2020 PAINT5D info any. That's kind of like how I make our log messages. Now, does that actually exist in here? Oop, hold on. Because I know this might be an older system. Yep, it does. Okay, cool. And this is 8. That also means that over here, where we're using this log function, it needs to have a void pointer. And then at the bottom of this mouse inputs section, for the 8th parameter, right here, we also want to call that log as well. We want to undef that. Okay, so what we want to do is we just want to say, hey, when we're clicking, are we actually clicking? Are we actually detecting clicks, or are we not detecting clicks, right? Because if we're not detecting clicks at all, then we got to fix that, right? So we just got to figure out where is code not working, right? So let's just put this over here for a second, and if we click, we're not seeing anything. Nothing's doing nothing here, right? What about left click? Left click, right click? No deal. No dice. So that could be for a variety of reasons. For example, maybe this function just never gets called, right? Maybe this mouse input function is just never called because we like stubbed it in there and we just never got to it, right? So let's go look for this, right? So mouse input is, oh, it's right here, okay. And, so if include mouse temp thing, so it looks to me that we're actually calling this, so I feel like this might be overblown here. So printf, calling, and then \n. I'm going to guess that this pollutes the console ridiculously. Like, if this is actually being called, like, once every frame, we're going to see it, and then we're going to regret it, and we're just going to stop the program. But let's just make sure that that is actually being called, right? Because that's the first step. I'd say that's being called. Okay, Control-C. Let's just close this, and let's close this. So yeah, that's being called. We're good there. Okay, so yeah, this is being called right here, so that's not the problem. However, the mouse click thing seems to be a problem, right? So let's figure out how we're doing that logic. Right, so let's close a whole bunch of stuff. And let's go into the, let's go into the, now, so iMouseBox, right, is set by the GenoWin, right? Like, GenoWin functions set iMouseBox, right? So if you go look for iMouseBox, this is where that is being set, right? So mouse move. Oh, it's only being set on mouse move, but what about like just mouse down, right? So this is only being invoked on a mouse move. So if we're not moving the mouse, then we're not gonna pick up on that, right? So detect mouse click Win32. So let's make a note of that we want to detect mouse clicks. So detect mouse click Win32. Try detect. So I'm gonna put this in my notes really quick. That okay. And then so I'm just making a kind of way to go from one thing to the next thing, right? So, like, the chance that I remember detect mouse click Win32, probably very unlikely, right? But if I type something very generic, I might not always want that to route to Win32 stuff. So we're gonna say detect mouse click, detect mouse click. Okay, good enough for me. Gonna put this over here. We'll figure out what this is. Responding to mouse clicks Win32 API. So we gotta figure out how that works. WM, so left button down. Yeah, so this is what we need. This value here. WM, L button down. So I'm going to make a note of that. So let me take a note of what this is. So this right here from the documentation. We're going to steal that. And then we'll make a note of this as well in my shortcuts in the comments. Client area of window. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay. So we got the this here. We got switch message. So we're gonna go do a case. Right. Yeah, and in this case, do we surround each of our cases and things? Yeah, case and then break. So this case right here, I guess we can write it that way. I don't really like that style, but that's the way I've been doing it. So, yeah, so in this case right here, we're just going to say, this is, let's just hack it together really quick, right? So it's not quite, and then we're also gonna need the mouse up, right? So, we're just we're hacking this together. So, so let's go back to that thing and look for in that Microsoft documentation. I'm gonna guess we have the same thing for mouse up, right? So mouse down and mouse up, and left. We're looking at the left button. Okay. Parameters. WParam indicates whether various virtual keys are down. This parameter can be one or more of the following values. Left mouse button down. Middle mouse button is down. So is this part of... L button up, that's what we want. So I'm going to take this and put this into my notes. So WM L button up. And let's just put this in our notes, right? So so 202. So let's steal this. And button up. Let's make sure these hex codes aren't anywhere else. Okay, so we're just gonna hackishly do this, right? So if the button is down, mouse click is 1, otherwise it's 0, right? So hack. Right. This is a hackish way to do it, but we just want to get something working as quickly as possible. So that's how we're gonna roll with this for now. So let's see if we can. We just want to be able to get the code running, and we didn't get that log message, so we know. So we broke this, didn't we? Case. Oh, right here. Forgot our colon. Okay. Uh, line 98 and the C2 stuff. Okay, let's go look at that. So in line 98, so we're going to go to line 98 here. And if we ever get something that fails us, um, uh-huh. Um, um, so let's go look what that is and see what we can do about it. So I'm gonna guess it has some weird, crazy junk value because we never like initialized it, and so it's just some off the wall crazy value, right? Um, so we got to figure out how we want to handle that in the editor code, right? So do we just want to say like the easy hack could just be like, you know what, if it's not an initial good value, um, tile exponent is 21, right? Um, so my guess is that when we initialize the system, we never set the tile exponent value. We had initialized it, and then we had never set it. Um, so that's my guess. I need to make sure that I need to take a quick break. Um, I had to shower. So, hygiene is sometimes important. Especially when you start to not like the way you smell, right? Like, it's bad when other people don't like the way you smell, but if you don't even like the way you smell, then it's even worse. And, yeah, anyways, too much information, right? Okay, so, yeah, we're thinking that the tile exponent here is initialized to some type of bogus value. That's my guess. So I think that in the code, we're actually getting the click to happen though, right? Because we got this code to invoke when we clicked, and that's when things crashed, right? So that's cool. That's cool that we have that. Let's look at the initialization code, I guess, here, right? So init, right? And the let's call it PAINT5D init. And okay, already up to date. And what's in the init code? Like, what is in here? So here's a private init function. Smash the case. Load initial editor state. Init or update default brush state. So every time we go back to the editor, we're using the default brush state? Sure, why not? And put brush state. Okay, right, so tile value, all this kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Now, is this function finished, right? Because it looks like the tile exponent is set over here, right? Right, okay, cool. Asserts. Okay, tile quadrant, tile exponent. And we can see it right here. But yeah, that's not what we're seeing. So we got this put thing for setting the initial state of the... So we already thought about this. So that's good that we originally thought about this. But now the question is... why then does it think that when we toggle the tile... possibly functions are getting called out of order. So that's another guess. So toggle tile, where are you being called from, right? It's being called from in here. And the mouse input function, when are you being called? Are you guarded? Because you're probably not guarded, are you? Handle mouse input. Mouse. Yeah, so include PAINT5D right here. No, because We also need to say that the editor in focus, needs to be this before we set this, right? So so if we look at the handle input for the mouse, where's that being called, right? Handle input. And there's also the fact that maybe, right, you got these loop tick functions. And since the keyboard input kind of like changes, because the keyboard input changes what editor is in focus, I think it's going to be safer down here, right? So, mouse input. So I think it makes more sense down here, and there's more guards that we're going to need than just this. So, you know, because keys pressed can change the editor in focus, the safest thing for a mouse handler is to be after the keyboard handler in case we invoke a click handler on a system that is on an editor that is in the middle for example, if your brush has an invalid so yeah, I think that this could be a thing. So we're going to put this commentary right here. Okay. And let's make a note of this, right? So this note was made at vid ID 0152. This isn't all the things we need to do. But the time 0051 and 55. Right, so this note was made at this time. And date is 20/21/02/23. Might as well make note of the date since you have enough room for it. So yeah, this handle input mouse, if we look at this, I mean, this is fine right here, but then here, if PAINT5D is included, we don't just want to call this, right? We only want to call this input handler for this system if the system is in focus. So we can go into C editor, right? Current editor in focus. And, right, this is the editor in focus, right? This is the editor, also known as the editor mode. The next editor to load so here's what we want to do. Last initialized editor index, currently being initialized editor index. So let's guard this with a few things, right? So, you know, if, What do I want to do here? So I have an idea. So we're gonna do a little +0 here to make sure that we can't accidentally assign it, right? Just a little hack. And then down here, we need to undef that, right? So undef this dex eddy. Oh, okay, I got it. I'm coming up. Okay, stopping the stream. Gotta go.